Click for IB Biology, Principles of Respiration, the Lactic Pathway. There's a PDF of this presentation down below in the description, along with links to a quiz with answers to test your understanding of this particular part of the presentation and course. A reminder as we go into this discussion that in glycolysis and in the link reaction and in the Krebs cycle, energy is transferred to the coenzyme NAD and it is reduced to the form of NADH, so there's before this is then transferred to the Christie membrane. And there on the Christie membrane, as you'll recall, the NADH dissociates, releasing its hydrogen ions, which are pumped into the Christie space here, with the electrons being transferred through the pumps, driving this process. Most importantly, at the end of this, the electrons are then absorbed by hydrogens and oxygen to form metabolic water. The oxygen, of course, is obtained through gas exchange. At the end of this process, notice also that with the release of the hydrogens, we have NAD in its oxidized form, and this then goes back to the processes I highlighted of glycolysis, link reaction, and Krebs cycle to receive more energy. However, when oxygen levels are restricted, what happens is that the NAD is unable to be broken down. So without enough oxygen, we can't accept the electrons, and the chain becomes blocked. NADH builds up in concentration, but more importantly, NAD is not regenerated. And so here we have glycolysis. And with such a problem, then it won't be possible for glycolysis to proceed without NAD. The adaptational response in the biochemistry is that pyruvate is reduced to the molecule lactate, and this is achieved by taking some of the building up NADH, you remember it's building up here, and breaking this down. This will then come to NAD, the oxidized form. The lactate will be absorbing the hydrogen like so, and then this can cycle back to the beginning, allowing glycolysis to continue, or indeed more. In this way, small amounts of ATP are generated in the glycolysis process, which is now called the lactic pathway with this additional component here. And it's best to think of this as a way in which aerobic organisms can create a supplement of ATP when oxygen is restricted. Of course, lactate, or better known as lactic acid, is widely associated with lactic fatigue. This is no longer the case in scientific research. Lactate does not cause tiredness in the muscles. The actual tiredness experienced with this is due to imbalances in electrolytes, in NAD and NADH molecules, along with a number of other multifactorial events. In fact, lactate is often taken out of the cell into the bloodstream, and blood lactate is then supplied to resting muscles that will often convert the lactate back to glucose for storage, or it can be used directly in forms of glycolysis, and indeed one of the muscles which is famously prefers lactate to do this is our heart muscle. So that's a myth busted that lactate causes fatigue. It does not. When we're doing muscles, we'll take a look at some of the potential fatigue factors. Links to another anaerobic pathway called fermentation are appearing in the link below, along with a subscription button and the link to the playlist so that you can look at the other videos in this series.